game as I was with Breath of the Wild. That's what I'm gonna say. It's not right or wrong, Joe. It is just an opinion. We listen and we don't judge.
You would
And then,
like me
yeah.
when I'm
Oh,
angry.
you had your headphones on the whole time, so you heard all that. Okay. Anyways, moving on. DJ Hero.
I need to call you out about something right there, and this is completely off script. Because you talked about, you are bitching about that being hard, about Sonic. I have watched you play Elden Ring, sir. And you want to sit here and talk shit.
I already peed, so we should be okay.
I'm glad I hit record before you said that. Fuck, you're just content gold. Anyways, welcome in everybody. This guy just the gift that keeps on giving in his fucking Star Trek shirt. I cut it above the nipple just so people wouldn't judge us. Yeah, there he goes. There you go. Yeah, that's the stuff, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I had a shirt with green on it, and then I was like, oh, that's right. He told me not to wear green because sometimes he needs like green screen or whatever. So
And you disappear. But
yeah, and then
I'm not opposed
sat
to
there.
you just being a floating head on this show either.
Yeah, and then I sat there and I'm like, what shirt haven't I worn? I don't want to keep wearing the same goddamn shirts
Gives a shit.
on this podcast. And I'm like, oh, I haven't worn this in a while, and now I realize why, because it's fucking tight.
You want to know a fun
But that's
fact,
okay.
Joe? That in the TV industry and movie, or all mostly TV, when they're editing clips like for things like The Voice, they wear the same thing 3-4 days in a row, so that you can't tell which episode the Easter egg is from.
That's true.
So I got you, pal. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I got you. Anyways, sorry you guys had to listen to that shit. That was probably one of our weakest monologues, but probably the most honest. We have decided that this is episode 15 now. It's over. It's episode 15. This is what it is. I don't care what I said the last 4 episodes. This is episode 15 because
And we should be straight to the point with every number down.
We're never straight when you're on the team here, Joe. But I appreciate you walking into these pitfalls everywhere you go. Anyways, we're gonna talk Fable today. I know we're talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it is such a beast that I need more time to prepare. Fable,
And it would honestly be like 3 episodes.
at least, because every
Right,
time I
yeah.
look, they're coming out with another one now, right? Well, Last Ronin, I really think they should go the route. I just want to see, like, and here, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna talk about it before we talk about Fable. Fuck it. I don't care. This is my show. So, my issue is now that I've seen the Last Ronin trailer, I can't unsee it. I don't want to go back to the campy. I want to see the DC Justice League go dark. You know, I don't know why. I want to see it like
Because it just makes sense. Like if you
the
and I know
comic
we were going to talk
didn't
about
address the turmoil, in my opinion. Like
The-
until I got into
yeah.
the real, like the crazy manga later on. But
Yeah, and the original one was dark. Like when they made the first movie, that was more of the tone of the comic books because it was supposed to be a comic book for like adults in a sense, like it was supposed to be more mature. And then they realized they could market it to kids and they changed it to be all campy and this and that, right? So that's why it is what it is right now, but
and if they didn't
Super
do that,
glad.
we probably wouldn't have watched it, and it probably would have tanked because old people, the generation before us, are all very much Beverly Hillbillies. But that's fine. That's fine. You do your own thing. You go look for gold. We're gonna go look through the sewers. But anyways, back to Fable. So this is one of those games, and I'm going to tell the viewers because there isn't too many games I get excited about talking about. Fable was probably the one for me. This was before Witcher 3, after Zelda. This was my game, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Fable was released on the Xbox Crystal. For those of you who don't remember it, Xbox Crystal was a clear Xbox with clear controllers. I used to work for a company called Future Shop that was later acquired by Best Buy and later Dumpster Fire. During the Best Buy Dumpster Fire phase, while I was there, I worked overnights in warehouse. So the overnight of Christmas to the 26th of December, which is Boxing Day, I remember seeing, and I had been eyeing up the last Xbox Crystal in a future shop in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and there was a layaway ticket that at 12:01 a.m. on December 26th, whatever fucking year that was, probably yeah, it would have been 2004,
Yeah,
2004,
it would have been.
2005. And yeah, I with a smirk on my face getting out of work at around like 6 a.m. while the people are lined up and I've got an Xbox and the kid comes in to come buy his Xbox, but it was on layaway, bitch. You did not lay it away for enough time. So Dano came in and scooped that shit and your hopes and dreams. And then Dano took 2 weeks vacation in which he did play nothing but Fable and Star Wars Battlefront. So that was the game that really got me into that second pile of gaming. Because like I said,
Mhm.
the games we grew up with, the games that came out even in 2004, like, and I was looking through this and I had to pull up some of the games that released in 2004, and 2004 was a monster of a year.
It
And
was.
I will get into it, but I just want to drop some of the games that Fable was against. And Fable was first of its kind. You know, Joe's going to give you the rundown here, but this game was
Mhm.
released the same year as World of Warcraft, Ninja Gaiden, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Halo 2, and Half-Life 2. The board was stacked because this is
Dak,
when we
brother.
got into that Xbox era, right? This is when Xbox bent the world over and was like, I'm doing everything. And that's it. The safe word is PlayStation. But
Bent the world over, except for Japan.
you know what? It
Japan
was,
could
but it
give
needed the
two
game
shits
market.
about it,
If it,
but
I again, if the watcher, if it, I don't think if it wasn't for, oh, this is where me and Joe fight, and it's too early. We're only about 7 minutes in. If it wasn't for Xbox, it would have just been a market of Nintendo versus PlayStation.
oh yeah,
Xbox
yeah,
is
yeah, for sure.
really what kept. If it wasn't for Xbox, and that's it because PlayStation was the last Ronin, right? It always had that dark story. It was more geared towards teenage to middle-aged
Hmm.
adults, in my opinion, whereas Nintendo was very for the kids. You know, I actually just saw something with was it the that Edgerton kid. He was in the Kingsman, but I guess they're redoing the Tetris business deal
Oh,
with Nintendo Game Boy. So we'll redo a
Tedder
Nintendo episode.
Edgerton.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so and that's it. But we're gonna revisit that because that is actually the clip I saw was a really cool story. So I got to back check that. But I'm sure if it's on TV, it's got to be real, right? It's gonna who's gonna lie?
It's got to be. I
It's
mean,
got to be.
they didn't Hollywood fantasize it at all.
All right, so back to Fable. So this game meant a lot because this game again against a stack of other games with that reputation that was already built. Fable came in from Lionhead Game Studios and a gentleman
Yep.
named what is it, Peter Molyneux?
Yeah, Peter Molyneux.
Molyneux, apologies,
Yes.
and he was a visionary because it by the time you get to the end of the story and the rabbit hole in which we came to, there seems to be it's a love-hate relationship, but it's interesting. And I'll sum us up at the end because we're gonna square back to Mr. Molyneux here. But what Fable brought to the table was genre changing. Like it was a semi-open world, but it was
Hmm.
pretty campy, right? But it was a cool story. But the one thing that got everyone hooked was the fact that it was driven by morality because
Yes.
we did not see that in games prior to that. And if someone else did, it likely wasn't a majority. We started to move in that direction, right? You could either choose to be a good person, bad character, but rarely did you ever, and I don't think ever, this might have been the first, in which you start completely neutral. And it's your decisions, your comments, your decision to kick chickens or not to kick the chicken that really brought you into this game. So I'm going to let Joe run with it from now. Let's go back to 2004. Joe, talk to me about the first Fable.
Yeah. And before I do that, I just want to make you said like it was like the first. It was like the first one that really did it pretty
Well,
well. Because with Peter Molyneux, before this game, I don't know if you all remember, he came out with a game called Black and White on the PC,
I don't. I looked
where
it up.
you, yeah. So I remember playing this game, and you were kind of like a god, and you had a pet, you had a choice between a pet, and you're trying to help or hinder civilization is what it was. So you could do good things and bad things, right? I could make it rain for you all so your crops grow, or you're not doing what I'm telling you to do, so I'm going to lightning strike your house and now your house is on fire. Like that was kind of like how the game was, right? You could pick up your little villagers, toss them around if you want, or help them get to places. Like he took that idea and he brought it over. And there was other games like Elder Scrolls and stuff like that was kind of playing around with this stuff, but I think Fable was the first one that did it exceptionally well for the time. You go back
Well
and play
enough
it
that you
now.
could define it by its morality system.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, just wanted to put that in there. But yeah, so for Fable came out in 2004 for the original Xbox, because I believe the other ones came out for the 360
Yep.
after that. Originally created by Lionhead Studios, like you mentioned, developed by and later developed by Playground Games. So it was like Lionhead Studios, and
Okay.
then Playground Games kind of took over, and it was published by Xbox, right? And you mentioned before, I wanted to go back to something else. You mentioned that if it wasn't for Xbox, it would just be Sony versus Nintendo. I think the good thing about Xbox coming into the game too is it gave Western developers a chance, right? Um, because yeah, Nintendo and stuff had Western developers, but it really like because Xbox was like the all American, like whatever. So they gave, you wouldn't
Xbox
have
is
probably
still the
found
Chevy
yeah, you
of the
wouldn't have
gaming world. Yeah.
found them, right? A lot of these companies probably wouldn't exist today if it wasn't for the Xbox. So I'll give them that credit. So yeah, so sorry. Fable came out 2004 on the original Xbox. It was set in a fictional land called Albion. Um, and the
Welcome to
series
Albion.
emphasized yeah,
Or
Albion, sorry. That's what it is, not Albion, Albion.
you're good.
And it emphasized player choice, like you mentioned, the morality system, and it was satirical, fairy tale inspired take on British folklore because this was a British company that created this. Um, the main series follows different heroes across several centuries of Albion, blah blah blah, and ranging from medieval inspired society to industrial nation that goes on later on. But the original one uh, was you're in Albion, you were a little boy. This one didn't give you the choice like the other ones. You started off as a boy who was forced into the life of heroism when bandits attack the village. They kill your father, they kidnap your sister, and the story starts from there, right? So when I was watching the video, I forgot kind of how dark it was in a sense because they explain like in the thing like they tortured your mother and your sister to find where you were because they knew there was people left in the village. They wouldn't tell you, so they ended up killing the mother, kidnapping the daughter, right? Like it's kind of fucked up.
And that's it. And
um
I just want to kind of, while you get your next point here, the thing is,
yeah,
at that time we were so desensitized that we never took the story seriously. Like it
yeah,
was the Bambi effect, and that's what I said. Like if you rewatch the first 10 minutes of Bambi, Bambi is fucking brutal, man.
oh
And
yeah,
that's it.
oh
But it's
yeah.
the same thing. But we were at an age where that shit was cool, right? And again,
Hmm.
let's go back to 2004. We had Lord of the Rings Two Towers were coming out. Well, maybe the last one,
uh
if not, they had already finished.
no,
But
I think the last one was like 2006 or some shit.
okay, but we're in
Or
that
yeah.
line because I was still selling those burnt discs at school there, and I was still in high school. But yeah, to date myself. But no, that was kind of the era. And when you talk about just the morality, and it wasn't just so much the morality. The other thing is it affected the looks of the character. And the one
Hmm.
thing is because at that point in life, I was in my grunge, Nirvana, hate life kind of phase, much like now, but with a lot less facial hair. Um, but the thing is, you chose the bad guy because you could, and it's not like you were picking good or evil. You had to take the time to go out of your way to kill people, and at the
To
end of
be
the
a
day,
prick,
I just
basically.
wanted. But you got the best sword if you did.
Mhm.
right? And that's it. Because
Mhm.
by the time, you start off as, you kind of look like Joseph here. If Joseph shaved, that's what you would look like a young Ash Ketchum.
Mhm.
You start off with the gleam in your eye that you want to be a hero, but then you get the taste after you kick your first chicken. And you're probably out there being like, why would that be happy? Because you couldn't do it before. It was like beating
Mhm.
hookers in San Andreas. You couldn't do it before, but now you can do it.
Yep.
And that really made that decision, because now that I go back, Joe,
Mhm.
the fighting mechanics weren't the craziest. It
No,
wasn't the
it's
most
simple.
flashy, but back then it was enough, right? The story was so fucking good that that's what you bid on. And the fact that you could change the story with any emotion, because like I said, you can flirt with women, you can fart on kids. There was very
Yep.
little you couldn't do.
Yeah,
But
you bragged about your heroism, right?
right,
So people started liking you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could do all that stuff. Um, what were you saying? Oh yeah. So with this, so yeah, so the game, Albion, you can change your hero's appearance, like you were mentioning. There was that morality thing, so you can either be good or bad, and like you were saying, it would change as a hero, if you decide to go the hero route, which is what I always did, I'm not gonna lie. I
I
don't think
see.
I ever went the evil route. Even in the Fallout games, even in Red Dead Redemption, it was always like I always did good. I always wanted to do good, right? But you are right where you get the cooler shit being bad. You look cooler being bad,
Dude,
right?
I had red
Um,
horns, red smoke. I killed my sister to get a sword. I was gangster.
Yeah, your eyes started glowing yellow or red or whatever you, but then you had flies around
Yeah.
you, like flying around, like
No
people
one
would
would come
avoid you
around
in
you.
the
Yep.
game. Yeah, yeah, they were afraid to talk to you, all that other stuff, right?
I would shoot them.
Um, so you change the hero's opinion. In addition to the main quest to learn what happened to the hero's family, players can engage in optional quests and pursuits such as trading, romance, married life, pub gaming, boxing, exploring, and theft. So it was a very ambitious game for its time, and it was very different, right? Because like again, you could marry people, you could there was a whole economic system, which was not big. You could buy houses, and then you rent them out, is basically what you do. You couldn't buy stores or anything, but you bought houses. You could also do trading, like they were mentioning. So what you would do is like for the trading thing, you would buy a keg of beer. You would take that keg of beer, you'd go to a different town, and then you would sell it for more money because each beer and ale and stuff made in different towns were different. Much like I don't know if you ever played Animal Crossing. My island grew oranges, yours grew cherries. So
Okay.
your cherries would be more expensive on my town, so we would trade, and then I would sell my cherries and make more money, right? So that's kind of the idea of this game here. So when we were talking about the economic feature that Peter Molyneux promised, so there is recreational activities not related to combat can be undertaken. Enterprising heroes can buy trade items such as beer kegs, like I mentioned, or grain sacks, and sell them to other towns for profits. Towns were also the prime location for buying clothes because, again, depending on what clothes you bought, would make you more attractive or less attractive. Because that was another thing in this game too, right? You wanted to be more attractive, less attractive. What would you want to look like?
This
And
was the best like vanity scales, because I remember, like, were you in the middle and you had two different, or no, you had the slider on top. It's been a minute since I played. I think you had the slider,
the
but you basically had an XY histogram that came out, and it would go based on good to evil, and I can't remember,
mhm.
attractive to
Um,
unattractive or desirable to
Yeah, that was
undesirable.
a yeah, I think the second one had that UI. The first one, I think it was like a menu thing. And think like an RPG, you would select an item and it would say like, oh,
Oh,
brings your attractive
-5.
-20 to
Yeah.
attractive, yeah, but +10 for this. Like it would do stuff like that, right? Um, and you could change these on the fly. Like you didn't have to stick with that decision, right? Like it was up to you what you want to do. Because sometimes you did have to switch your clothing depending on the mission that you needed to do. But yeah, many towns had houses for sale, which heroes can buy, furnish, or lease to tenants for gold. Heroes may woo and marry men or women in each town. So each town you could have like a wife or a husband, right? You didn't have to be monogamous, right? Um, so when it comes to combat, in this game. Again, you're mentioning it was pretty basic, and it kind of was. I can't remember what buttons it was to attack, but you had like your light, strong attacks. I think you could block in the game as well, or parry. I can't remember this one too much, but in addition, with melee weapons such as swords and maces, and range weapons, which were only longbows and crossbows, because this was old medieval times. Guns weren't invented yet. It was just simple equipment like that. You could also learn spells in this game um, to ward off damage or harm foes. As players complete quests or defeat enemies, they gain general experience as well as experience based on melee attacks, range weapons, or magic. So if you used a lot of melee, your experience for melee would go up. And then when you wanted to level up, you could level up specific things for that. And it would take that. So again, it was like red, blue, and yellow were like the colors, and then green was general. So say it cost 10,000 fucking strength points or whatever it was to upgrade this one attack. What it would do is whether you had enough or not, it would take what it needed from your strength, and then the general, it would take the rest. So it kind of helped you out in a bit that way. So it was always good to get your general. You just got up from killing enemies and doing quests. General always went up, but everything else it depended on what you use. So did you want to be more of a range attacker? Okay, well I'm just going to use my bow and arrow and my crossbow. I don't give a shit about my attacking. I don't give a shit about my spell casting, whatever. I'm going to work on this,
I'm a
right? So
fucking camper,
it,
bitch.
yeah, so it gave you the freedom, I would like to say, on building your character how you wanted to build it, right? Like it wasn't like other games where you just got experience points and then you know what, whether I use magic or not, I got all these experience points. Let's upgrade my magic because I just need to waste experience points and blah blah blah, right? It wasn't like that. You really had to think what you wanted to do. If I wanted to get my fire level up for my magic, I had to use fire. I couldn't just kill enemies however I wanted and then just upgrade it however. Like you had to be a little bit smart about it. Um, and then, like I said, you could spend them in the Heroes Guild to level up attributes. And then I mentioned like the general experience could help modify the rest of your stuff. So it was physique, health, and toughness. The same applies to skill, which can only modify speed, accuracy, and guile, right? So again, depending on what you wanted to upgrade, you had to use specific attacks to upgrade this stuff, right? So, which was again, it was kind of innovative. Well, it was innovative, but ahead of its
Way
time,
ahead of its time.
really, way ahead of its time. So that's basically it for the combat. Like I said, it's very simple. Attacking this, that is pretty
The
simple. I think there
storyline
was
and the character enhancements were really the selling feature of this game. Because
yes.
if you put it like I said, pound for pound against, like, it had a Metascore of 85 and I think it finished 28th on Metacritic's list for
Oh,
2004, which
nice.
is
That's not bad.
compare, like, again, we're talking games that were already going their second go. Once Halo 2 came out, and Halo 2 was probably, I didn't look into it, was probably closer to the top 5 that came out, and San Andreas. Like, it's hard, but that, like I said, it was the mechanics that sold us on the game, because like I
Hmm.
said, marketing did very well, and that was kind of the push. So that being said, Joe, because I played a little bit of
Hmm.
two, one was I probably the game I played the longest, and I want to say I probably spent more time in Fable than I did at that point in all of the Legend of Zeldas and Pokemon's combined. The one thing, despite the, we'll just call them bare bones, it wasn't bad fight mechanics, it was just basic fight mechanics, was the
Hmm.
Colosseum. That is one
Oh, right.
thing. Like, do you remember that? Like, that was weeks of my life trying to get through, or what, the arena, the fight
That
arena, the
was
color.
yeah. It was like
It was like 20
like
levels of just chaos.
it wouldn't be it was I wouldn't say boss rush, but it was like yeah. You started off with like the easy enemies, and then they'd swarm you. You'd kill them, and then it would ramp up. But you couldn't leave.
Yeah,
If you
you had to
left, I
finish.
believe you. Yeah, all the rewards that you got, you didn't receive. So I think you had to go to the end, right? If
Yeah,
I recall correctly.
and you
Yeah,
needed a
yeah. So all
sword
the
at the end,
gold
so
and
you
stuff.
had to do
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
And that was
Yeah.
it. Like it
So
was a very challenging game for its time. Like, and
mhm.
we're talking, there was no, was there? Maybe there was an Assassin's Creed by then. Maybe the first.
There had to have been because the first one definitely had to be out by then, and even the second one had to have been coming
Because I
out.
was gonna say, wasn't that PlayStation? That was probably the late '90s. That one came out. I didn't look it up,
Assassin's
but while
Creed.
Joe looks that up, so as a non-gamer growing up at that time, like I said, it was sold with the Crystal Xbox. Fable was so much fun. Now, I made the mistake of seeing it on Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play Fable 2 because the new Fable's coming out, and I kind of need a refresher. I never played Fable 2, nor did I play Fable 3. Just googling Fable 3, the hate is real. Not a lot of people enjoyed Fable 3, so but Fable 2, wherever I go, seems to be the best ranked. That being said, and I didn't give it my full attention because I was talking to Joe about this off air. I just found it so sluggish, but I've been playing through Game Pass Cloud. So I figured, okay, maybe it's just a stream because, like you said, Joe, we're talking about 30 frames per second at best. It's
Hmm.
just a laggy, clunky type of gameplay from back then, and and it's true. The story I didn't really get into at first, but again, when you're irritated with gameplay, it's hard to get into the story. But if there was one thing about Fable, like I said, despite the mechanics, despite everything, that story was gold. It had shit like the
Hmm.
demon doors. There was so much for you to do that when I played Witcher 3, you can start seeing great games are built on what worked before them. They work well
Hmm.
off the predecessors. And I never played Witcher 1 or 2. I don't need to because Witcher 3 is probably going to be the best Witcher there was. Um, Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
I
for it
mean, for sure.
because you would have had 4 out instead of just doing a bunch of expansion packs. And that's my other
Hmm.
thing. I didn't realize how many releases the Fable franchise ended up having. And we talked about this with other games that there was they sewered themselves in knockoffs where it was, lost files, this, that. I think that there should be a law. We should limit how many expansion packs a game can get because it's fucking irritating.
Yes.
But that being
Yep.
said, I have been balls deep in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I don't think I'm ever going to get to the end of it. But Fable was a game that it took a long time, but you could eventually get to the end of it. Like there was an end to the story. See, and that's
Yep.
why I gotta call it semi-open world because you were going around, but you weren't really like going around, right? Like
Mhm. It
now
was like a linear, like it wasn't open, like it was
it was a guided
like
open,
the new Tomb Raiders where it was like semi-open world. You get to an area and there's branching paths, but it always led back to that one
sort of.
linear path you were supposed to take, right? Like you couldn't go hop mountains and get to where you needed to go. You had to take the path, you know? But yeah, you were mentioning with Fable 2, it was considered probably like one of the best games of all time. Um, and Fable 3, yes, and we could get when we get to Fable 3, I could let you
Break
know
down what
what the
happened there.
why. Yeah, because it was like yeah, we'll get into that. Going back, Assassin's Creed didn't come out to 2007. So this was before Assassin's Creed.
Okay, so
Yeah, so
that being said, that style because the other thing in Fable and like I said, and for those listening, I know we're a little out of shape here. We haven't recorded in a few weeks. But yeah, it's the original Fable just had the options. Like if you didn't want to just follow the story, you could have just been a dick all day and gone out. And I think that's one thing we saw at that time was with San Andreas, right? You had a little more freedom to do what you wanted. You did not have to follow that linear path. In Fable, like you said, it didn't really matter. Other games, you kind of had that and it would veer back in. But Fable, I
mhm.
think, was one of the first that you could truly just go out and be a farmer. And Fable, when we look at 2004, some of the best games that came out prior to that, like you look at your Legend of Zelda, and I think Fable was that bridge between Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy. Like there was the storyline. It was
Hmm.
serious without being serious. It was dark without being too serious. Right? You had things like demon doors that you would have seen like talking trees in Legend of
Oh,
Zelda.
the
You know,
demon doors are funny too. They crack like jokes and
and
shit.
that's
Like
it.
they gave you riddles to try to figure out how to open them. Like and the and the cool thing about the demon doors too was you might to open one you had to be evil. So
Not
now what this
everybody could
game
open
did,
every door.
yes. And so what this game did, and I wish more games kind of did, and this is before, live service games and all that other bullshit, is it gave you a reason to keep playing it. Like once you were done playing it,
You could
you're
go
like,
back with
oh,
your shit.
like, yeah, I sent you that video of that one guy, and he's like, I'm gonna play as good and I'm gonna play as evil, and I'm gonna talk about like the differences between them, right? So like you go back and now you go back and you play as evil. You played as good, now go play as evil and see. And it did change the story a little bit, like in I think there was, I didn't watch till the end. I think like you kind of always got to a certain point, but it kind of changed the way people reacted to you. It changed some of the quests that you did, because like some of the quests you had to be evil to do, right? Like so it did a lot of that stuff. Kind of in the same vein as like later on Skyrim did it, right? Like there with Skyrim there was only certain missions you could do depending on which factions you followed. Follow did the same thing, right? So like they all they all took what Fable did and they moved it into like their genres, which again, Fable was the first of its kind. Um, and it really sucks that it's gone. And I say it's gone, but I know they're coming out with that new one. But when the fuck are they coming out with that new one? They could be like bitches and then cancel the game even though that it's ready, because Xbox has done that numerous fucking times with games. So I'm not holding my breath for this game. I'm excited when it comes out, but I'm not holding my breath.
So I want to interject there because I thought of this the other day. Let's go back to 2004. You saw that list that Fable was up
Hmm.
against. Would it not be more prudent? And I'm not happy about this, Joe. I am just speaking as a bureaucrat. Would it not be more prudent to wait till the new Xbox is released and release it with that? Because now, much like everything else, right? Xbox 2 or when you got into 360, right? That really changed the
Hmm.
scape of what you could do with a lot of games. And I think that that was it because if we look at Fable, Fable has got elements like I said, there's a lot of games in Fable. Right, I can associate with Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, all that kind of shit. Like you had the little pieces that worked in every game, and I think that that's what. But the problem with Peter Molyneux is, from what I researched, because this just ended up being a documentary on him after, um, is he made a lot of promises. The vision was great. The man was a mind, but that was it. But
Yes.
it gets to a point where you can only do so much. And when we look at old games, like we're talking PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII, three fucking discs. Now you're trying to get everything
Hmm.
onto one disc. Did Xbox have any game? You would know. Did Xbox, the original Xbox, have any two CD games? There's got to be one.
I don't. I want to say yes. I do. I believe the 360 did. I want to say one was called like Lost Odyssey, which was like an RPG game that came and went, but now it has like a cult following. That I did have at one point. That one I'm pretty sure was 2 discs. So at this point, yes,
But
there were
compared to
games still coming
PlayStation,
out on
there
2 discs.
there there was a huge difference because PlayStation had two discs on fucking close to everything
Oh
at
yeah,
one
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But that's how you
yeah,
got
yeah.
it in. So I think for the time, there was a lot that got done in that game. The fighting wasn't bad enough that it took you out of the. But when I looked at Fable 2, the one thing that came back with Fable 2 the most is how much people like the side quests. So I spent,
Mhm.
I played it for about 2 hours, but like I said, I noticed the lag. And I was talking to Joe about this, which is funny because I saw some lady and I can't remember the video, but it was on YouTube today. And she said, I loved it except for the lag. And I'm like, how the fuck did someone in the past go through the problem that I'm
Have
going through
legs.
now?
Yeah.
And that was it because you tried to do too much again. So, but the thing is,
They,
one of the first things that I enjoyed doing and I got lost in was the pub game. So, Fable 2 brought us 500 years into the future in Albion, where, like Joe said, you weren't able to pick boy or girl before, but this you could pick, which is good
Mm-hmm.
because, again, that's when we started, and I won't say catered. We had to start making things a little more accessible for female gamers, and I'm glad we did it. It opens up your market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, talk to me about Fable 2 because there was a lot of good in Fable 2. Um,
Yes.
a lot of true Fable players did not like the fact that Fable 2 was voted the best. I'm having trouble seeing it either way. To me, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe, tell me the story of Fable 2 here.
Yeah, so Fable 2 came out in 2008. Again, action role-playing game, same thing. Developed by Lionhead Studios, published by Microsoft, obviously, again, for the 360. Like you were saying, it's based 500 years into the future of Albion. And why they did that was because they didn't want they didn't want to do the whole medieval route anymore because like again with medieval route you could only use certain weapons. They wanted to change some of the weapons. In order to do that you had to change the time frame. So now instead of arrows, the crossbows and everything, you had guns and muskets, I believe. um, you still had your swords and your, I think they expanded on its swords, axes, all that other stuff. They expanded on the spell. They kind of made everything easier because their main thing, what they wanted to do, especially with the combat, was they wanted a one button combat. Now, when I say that, I say like they wanted, say your X button was your attack button. Your X button is going to do everything. So depending on how you
You,
hold down, you charge, you do anything, it changes what your character is doing. Depending on where the enemy characters are, it changes your attacks. And all you had to do was press that one button, right? You knock your enemy character to the ground. You hit the X button. You stab them on the ground. Like it's doing everything for you, which made it a little bit easier and better and more fluid than remembering which button I had to press to do heart attack, this attack, that attack, block, all that other stuff. It did all that for you, right? Which was a nice little selling point. The game takes inspiration from the historical late colonial era in Europe, specifically Britain, because that's kind of where this game was kind of based off of, right? Um, the game made several improvements over its predecessor, updating existing gameplay and offering larger locations to explore. Along the main story, players can engage in several side quests, repeatable jobs like you were mentioning. You mentioned like a pub game, but I think that's kind of what the job was. Like you were a bartender, you had to pour drinks,
oh,
you'd
I
made
haven't
money
got to
by
that.
doing that.
There was an actual
Oh,
like card game.
oh yeah. So what this one did, uh, is they took away, instead of getting money from doing quests and stuff like that,
Yeah, you had to
they
work
made it
for it.
more, yeah, they made it more, let's say, realistic in a sense, where you had to get a job
Yeah.
to make your money. You had to get into real estate to make your money. You weren't just making your money by completing quests anymore, right?
So in my first
So
2 hours, that was it. So when you start, I think wood chopping, or no, it was blacksmith was the first. So you
yes,
go, you hit, you've got a gauge that goes with a green center, and you've
yeah,
got to
and
hit
you
it
got to
within.
hit it on the green.
Okay, I understand at the time that was the technology in which we had. It is so fucking mind numbing to me today because I
Yes.
sat there and it's like, oh, only $742 to make, but you're only making $3 a stroke, and you're like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're sitting there for 20 minutes, half an hour.
and if you
Hey,
miss, you start over. You
hey.
can build a chain
Yep.
like combos, and it's really stupid because when you miss, it's because of that lag. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I was
Mm-hmm.
becoming because I'm like, I'm not doing this 1,000. I'm not. My Xbox controller maybe has 200 clicks on A left, and I'm not putting it through this stress. But that was
Yeah.
one thing. But the other thing that I found, and this was a glaring thing, because the minute you walk around, you are able to look at the price of the house and buy it, which was a huge thing in this game, which I
And
haven't gotten
businesses
into,
now.
right? And that's it.
Yeah.
Because now we took that Fable storyline and turned it into that make your own business kind of game. And I
Mhm.
think that's what people liked because, right? Because, like you said, when you're done the game in Fable 1, you could go back, you could do whatever. You could be a farmer, you can raise a family, you can do whatever. And that was the freedom. That life simulator feel is what people love. and that's it. And 2 gave you that ability because you can go, and it's not overly hard to make money, like Joe says. You're not making it in quests, but if you, and I don't want to call it grindy because it isn't, but it is. Like to sit
Mm-hmm.
there and hit A is just infuriating more than grinding to me. But
Mm-hmm.
that was the mechanic, right? But back then, you wanted people to play the game for X amount of hours. So you have to do dumb shit like that. It's like a side quest of fishing, right? How are you going to
Yes.
get people every fucking game? It doesn't matter. You could do it
As
outside of a
fishing.
strip club. If you put a wading
Mm-hmm.
pool with a bunch of magnetic fish, you're going to get a bunch of drunks that are going to come fish. Don't matter what you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So
Yep.
the fishing game is always that. I refer to it as that ace in the hole. But the side quest is really what takes over some of these games. And I think that that was the one thing with the Fable franchise. And like we talked, that you could really veer out. It wasn't even about the story. The story was probably still well written. A lot of people like the story. And two, the thing
Very well.
is, when I was into it, Fable 1, I think if I played Fable 2 at the time Fable 2 came out, I would have been happier, but by then I'd already, sworn my life to being a gangster, and video games just weren't doing it for me. But that's it. But one thing that I did notice in my first couple hours playing Fable 2 was a lot of the complaints were justified. And like I said, the one thing that put me off the game is I almost called you. For those of you who don't know, I am what you would call, I wouldn't call myself a game scavenger, um, but as you see behind Joe, there are a lot of consoles collecting dust. So I have been fortunate in my life to never really have to invest in any because he's done it for me. And eventually, when the new one comes out, like he gave, like I've been playing his PlayStation. Fuck, you gave it for me when I went out here. But even when I was in,
You've had it probably for like 3 years. It was before you went out there.
yeah, because I
Yep.
bought a
And the
game and I
PS2.
never played it. So Joe's got a lot more games now that I never played, and the PS2 because I bought Resident Evil 4. Because when I got
Yeah,
into my
which
gaming journey, I said that that was one that I had to play. Fast forward about what? Let's just call it 5 years now. I haven't gotten past 15 minutes because the second house, the zombie there, always scares me, and I always die. So Dan
brother,
moved
I'm
away
actually
from.
playing it right now, and it's a really good game.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's a wonderful game.
I
I
wanted to
am just
break my
not
controller
capable,
many times, but it's good.
and this is the reason I can't. So I told Joe I've been having a problem, and we're gonna talk. I want to have an episode of all the shit that pisses me off about consoles because the PS4. One thing you forget is the absolute thrust of sound that the PS4 creates when it starts. Like I
Brother, I'm
have a
surprised it hasn't
V8
blown up.
in a Camaro that is quieter than the PS4. The train that drives in front of my house is muted by the PS4. But not only that, I'm playing Assassin's Creed right now because I have never, this is my first time being exposed to the franchise. Fucking amazing. Not as good as Witcher 3, but
Mhm.
I'm starting to build a tier list here, guys. It's coming, don't worry. But it's taken about 110 hours of my life already. I should really finish school. That should, because, I am paying by the month. But, I got to save Greece. And by save Greece, I mean kill half of Greece and collect bounties because not that Greek people are the worst, but
Romans are better. Romans are a little
if
cooler,
I got to
some might
pick red
say.
over blue. If I'm going to pick a team, it's red over blue. That's all I'm saying. But no, but it's shit like that. But the one thing I have right now is stick drift. So whenever I look at the map, it just fucking goes. So I can't find a quest on the map without it going. So the other day I ripped everything apart and I cleaned it. I was all fucking nerdy about it, and it did not help. So that is one thing that is going to be on my grinds my gears about consoles because I've never had stick drift. I've never had these kind of problems with an Xbox. But now we're moving into a new day and age. So Fable gave us a lot of side quests, the side games,
Yeah.
the side stuff, because you had your odd games like Witcher ended up having, what was the card game in Witcher?
Oh, Gwent.
Right? That
Yeah.
branched off and went to its own kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And Fable
People
kind
loved
of
it.
did the thing. Like Fable 2, in my opinion, could have started stronger. but again, this is a game that I'm playing almost 20 years after its release. And when we
Hmm.
talk about the games, if I played it in its prime, it would have been different. The one thing that I do like about Fable 2 is the dog companion. The fact that you've got a
Yes.
dog with you is great. Because the one thing that I hate about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which we will do an episode on, is the fact that I'm constantly killing dogs. I don't know what it is with the fucking Greeks, why they don't like dogs, but fuck off. Get them off your islands if you don't like them. I don't need to fucking hack them up every 30 fucking seconds. Anyways, Joe,
Yeah.
let's close out Fable 2 here. So you played it years and years ago. It's been a
Oh yeah,
minute,
when it first came out. Oh yeah.
but talk to me when I brought that up to you, when I said, hey, Joe, we're going to do
Mhm.
Fable. Talk to me about some of the first thoughts you had about Fable 2.
Uh, I remember again the feeling was loving it. I remember having like immense amount of fun. I can't remember the ending of this one. I know it's not in one. It might be in two. I'm pretty sure it's in two. It may be in three. But there was like a decision at the end that you had to make that like broke my heart because any decision you made wasn't like it was the best decision. There was just like consequences to every decision, right? So I remember the dog companion. I remember um like you get tattoos, like hairstyles, like there's a bunch of things you could change. I do recall as well that depending on what you ate, changed the
Oh,
physique of
yeah.
your character, right? If you ate more vegetables and stuff like that, you're more slimmer, more like fit. But if you ate more bread and more sugary whatever stuff, you drank more beer and more ale, like you'd be a chunky boy. You'd be like overweight, and it would tell you, right? And that had to do with like your appearance and your whatever. I also remember with this game, they added like you could always marry people, but then they added you could have sex with your partner. Not only that, you could do it protected or unprotected because you could find condoms and you could buy condoms. Now, if you did it unprotected, your partner become pregnant, you had kids, now you had to worry about your kids, and your kids could die with something called cot rot, I think it was called.
I didn't get that far, but
Or
that's
they
hilarious.
get, yeah, dude, or they get older and then they might decide, hey, my dad's an adventurer. I'm going to want to run away from home and be an adventurer too. Right. And I think at some points you might come across them as you're like, like this game was huge. And when you're like, yeah, I ran leggy as shit, that's why. Because like,
There
as
was only
you're
so much you
playing the
could put on
game,
it.
it was doing, yeah, dude. And like, it was to the point that like, when you got to like a smuggler camp or something, I believe if you decided or you like you got to like a little tent community, if you decided not to raise it to the ground, um it would grow and build and build and build. So the next time you got to it, it would be a little bit of a bigger town and a bigger town. Like this game was just so expansive, right? It was so there was a lot of shit to do, a lot of things to worry about. Um like I said, you had your real estate property. So now instead of just buying houses, you could buy businesses, and then you could raise or lower prices of stuff in the business. The more you go into that business, the more clout that business got, the more people went to that business to buy shit, the more money you made. Like it was like all these things. Like you could spend 1,000 hours in this game and still not like do everything you need to do because it was just ever changing, like ever changing. Your companion, like you said, this companion not only helped you in battle, it would never die, but it did get hurt, and you had to heal it when it took too much damage. It also found treasures for you digging into the ground. They also added the waypoint. It was like a gold, like glittery
Yeah.
line
So you follow
that
so you
helped
don't
you
get lost.
navigate. Yeah, yeah, which was kind of nice. Again, that was it. They called it the breadcrumb trail, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, your family, your relationship, like I said, you do all that thing. Your children could die and blah blah blah. Uh, what else did it do? The character morphing, I mentioned that. Like they just added so many. Like it was just again ahead of its time. Like I think a game that and it's going to be a bold, but I think a game I could compare to nowadays for people that like don't know a Fable would be No Man's Sky. Ever evolving, ever changing. Like there's just always like no replay was the same because you could just make different decisions. You could stay neutral. You could do this. You could do that. Because I believe not only did they, I thought I made a note about it, but
Probably
like they
did,
added
Beard.
not only evil and good, but it was pure and corrupt. So you could be like good but corrupt. You could be evil but
I like that.
like you know what I mean? Like it was
You
like
could be the
there was just so
anti-hero.
many. You could be a vigilante, right? You could be like this, like you could play your character. People might not like you, but they respect you. Like there was just so many different ways to play the character, right? And depending if you were corrupt and good, changed your appearance from being good and pure. Like it was like there's just so many ways to go about it. It was just so huge, so like I don't know what else to say. Like that. That's why it's rated one of the top games of all time because like it was ambitious. Did it do everything it said it was going to do? No, no. Because honestly, Peter Molyneux like over promises, under delivers constantly. But he knows how to make a experimental, interesting game. I don't know how to say it. Like because you think about a lot of games now. A lot of games now don't try to be risky like that,
No.
right? Because nowadays, being risky like that means you could lose money, and companies don't want to lose money. But when video games back in that day, in the 2000s to whatever the Xbox 360, PlayStation kind of era, they had to do that because it was a new thing, it was a new device, and people they found that games that were experimental were the ones that like made it. Games that were just safe and whatever and had brought nothing to the table other than like another action RPG, here you go, fucking fell in the wayside, right? Um so yeah, that's what I think of that game. Like I said, there was jobs as well. You mentioned it. Blacksmith, woodcutter, bartender, assassin, or civilian displacement, which when I was watching the video, I was like, what is civilian displacement? Oh, you're finding people and bringing them back to slave camps is what you were doing.
Bounty hunter, Joe.
There was the bounty hunter as well and a merchant, but you if you wanted to play evil, you had to like you convince these people to come with you. It's going to be awesome, and then you put them in a concentration camp. Basically, is what you did. So
Don't get catfished.
right, so like it had so much shit that you could do, and in your jobs you could get promoted to make more money. So like you were saying, you're like it was tedious. You can make more money. The problem with that is like the real estate option. Once you got enough businesses, you're making money every 5 minutes. Is 5 minute game time, right? So like depending on how much businesses and stuff that you bought, you could
You
make
are
like ten thousand
ridiculous.
dollars. Yeah, $10,000 every 5 minutes. Like having a job didn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to go back unless again you wanted to like 100% the game. You go back and get all your promotions. Sure. After a while, you stop doing the jobs because you're a real estate mogul. You owned everything, right? So, um, that was. I know you asked like what my and I told you kind of what my experience, but I branched it into what the game was like. Um, to me, like when you mentioned this game, I was like, oh yeah, that was a cool game. I started watching the video and I'm like, holy fuck, I don't remember all this about. I need to go back and play this game. My problem is you were like, oh yeah, no, I played it. It's on Game Pass. I don't pay for the Ultimate Game Pass anymore. I only pay for the PC one, and I think that's why you could play it and I can't find it.
Probably because I won't
You
buy
must.
video games.
So I might have to because I do have 360s here. I think two of them the doors don't open anymore, but I could probably
Oh.
fix that. That's my issue. That's why I have three of them because each one the tray stopped working. I think one of them I got from somebody else and they said that their son jammed a game, tried to jam two games in at once and now
Oh.
it doesn't open. So I got to open them up and fix them, but I think I might look for these games and
I'm pretty sure you had Fable 2, dude. I want to say I have seen it in your collections at one point or another.
my problem is, and I'm not going to mention any names, is you might have seen it at one point, but there was a time where I felt bad for an ex of mine,
Oh
and she was, yep, and you know
no.
exactly what happened. I lent them one of my video game consoles with all my
Oh.
games. I was like, here, have fun. Yeah, I'll just ask it back when I want it. And then I can't remember when it was, and I messaged them up, and I'm like, hey, uh, can I get my Xbox back? And they were like, no, no, you gave it to me. And I was like, oh my God, is this the battle I want to have right now in my life? Is the custody of a 360? At the time, I chose no. Now I regret it because,
We can find you the
again,
fucking
I
game, Joe.
had fucking dude, I had so many goddamn
Yeah.
games and so many rare games. Like the amount of rare games I've given away in my life is ridiculous. And I'm so mad at myself for it.
To be
Anyways,
fair, they weren't rare at the time.
they weren't. Like I was telling you that Lost Odyssey game. Look it up. It's actually a pretty rare game and it's gone. I don't have it anymore. It's gone. I probably could have sold it for like $200 and it's gone. So, live and learn.
Yeah.
Same thing like all my GameCube games that I used to have. I traded in for the newest system, and now look
Yep.
at like go look up GameCube games. I had Skies of Arcadia, I had Tales of Symphonia, I had like Skies of Arcadia is like $300 now.
You still have Tales of Symphonia.
I do not.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure it's at my mom's house. I think
You
that's
son
a
of a
part of the
wait,
back.
probably.
Don't son of a bitch me. You gave it to me in a giant bag with other shit. Get fucked, son of a bitch me. Get fucked. You want to see your games again, bitch? I know you ain't coming to collect. Fight custody. Let's see how it
Do you
goes.
see? I've given away so many games. I don't
Yeah.
know who had like I
But
forgot
that's
you had
it.
my PS2. I forgot you
Yeah.
had my
Good
PS2.
thing I'm not a piece of shit and I keep everything fucking minty for you. But that's it. It's one of those things. But Joe, let's get into Fable 3 here because then I want to talk about something a little more off of the gaming side, but related to
Sure.
gaming.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go off your notes because I didn't take any notes for Fable 3, but I did watch a video, so I kind of know. Again, I did play it at the time it came out. So, Fable 3, that's why I had Wikipedia up, to be honest with you. Came out in 2010. So, my problem, and you're probably gonna get into it, these games like got pumped out. Like, not the first one to the second one. It was a 4 year thing to come. No,
Which is an
was it? Yeah,
acceptable
4 years.
time period
Yeah,
when you're recreating a game.
yeah. This one was 2 years after the game came out. So like, I think it came out too quickly. We're probably going to get into that later. But now this game is about 50 years after the second one. Um, during the Albion's industrial revolution. So again, they're going through history. In this one, I believe, again, you could pick male, female, but your brother is the king. He's a piece of shit asshole. He's your typical tyrant king. And basically, what happens is I don't think you get to decide, they tell you. Because you had to make a decision. And right in the beginning, you had to make a decision that, like, I don't want to ruin it because people might play it, but it's like
Okay, Joe,
there's no
okay,
good.
anybody who's watching this, it's been 17 years. Go fuck yourself. Joe, what happens in the game?
So there's an uprising. Your brother pulls in the fucking peasant slaves, and you are trying to tell him how to run the kingdom. And he's like, "All right, you want to run the kingdom and make a decision? Fine. We're either going to kill the peasants to make an example, but if you want your peasants to stay alive, we're going to kill your girlfriend.
Fair.
Make a decision." And you can't say no to both of them. So what are you going to do? What are you
Some
going to do?
people may choose D.
Right?
It's
Right?
it's a
I
matter of
don't remember.
perspective. It's a matter of perspective at that point, but I
Yeah,
get what you're saying.
right. So right away they put you in this decide right now, right? And then from there now you're going to be I believe you basically create a team to go back and you fight your brother. Is what the basic story of the game is. Is you're going through the game trying to get allies to Rebels. That's what it is. Rebels and Royals or whatever they decided that they want to do. So you create a bunch of rebel society. Think like Star Wars. You got your rebels and you got your fucking Imperial, whatever. Um, so yeah, so that's what the whole game's about. It expanded on like the jobs, the family, the property ownership, the economy, and all that other stuff. Um, it says it's often considered the high point because of its balance, freedom, human, and emotion. But which I could see that. But I think its biggest downfall of three. Oh no, I was looking up to see. I smushed my notes down, and I was looking up on two instead of one, or instead of three. So anyway, sorry. Its biggest downfall of this was they tried to make it more available for everyone. So it was like they're trying to think like, well, if people haven't played one or two, they could just hop into three and it'll be easy for them. What they did is they took away the menu system, they took away a lot of that UI stuff, and they basically made a hub. And you always had to like, even pressing the start button, all it did is when you press the start button, it just gave you an option menu. Like you didn't go in there to change your costume. You didn't go in there to pick your weapons or anything anymore to change on the fly. You press start and it would automatically um, transport you to a hub. And from your hub, you had to go to each individual room and you're like, oh, I got to go to my weapon room. What weapon do I want to use? I got to go to the weapon rack. I got to grab it. Like there was no quick way of doing things anymore. And I think that was its downfall. And that's why two will always be better than three. Yeah, the graphics were a little bit better. Yeah, it ran better.
Okay,
Yeah, it
if the
was still.
graphics don't get better from the first to the third in any franchise, it's not worth following. Like, and this is it because are we talking how many consoles was this for Xbox then? One, two for
This was
sure.
still on the 360. Like
Okay,
this was
okay.
Xbox. So
This
the
was
original was Xbox,
yeah,
and these next two games came out on the 360,
okay.
right? Um. So
But
yeah. So like the oh no, go
no,
for
go
it.
ahead. I was just gonna say, yeah, like the graphics thing, when you look at the graphics, even of Final Fantasy, right, throughout the years, you can tell kind of what console they were on. You could make an educated guess at least, right? We remember the
Hmm.
3D blockiness of PS1. Xbox was always fortunate in not having that, in my opinion. Xbox was always was like the Sega we always wanted. It had that colorful, vibrant. It was for show. Everything was so beautiful on Xbox.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
even with Fable, like I never played the third, and again, it's the same. It's shit like that that keeps coming up in the reviews. Like, but and this is what I'll say to that, Joe. We saw the first and second with a 500-year separation, right?
Hmm.
The thing with Fable is that you could have been immortal. So when you tell me that Fable 3 is only 50 years in the future, that's what bugs me. Is because there
Hmm.
could essentially be very little change. Right? We're talking about, Spider-Man on TV versus Spider-Man on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's that kind of period, but the thing with Fable that I and what I got from it, and this is what bugged me because we talked about this. They diluted their own field because I think you started to see by the third one, pushing it out that quick. I think that you saw certain things that people complained about that they tried to give a version B to. Because at a certain point, you're just remaking the same game with different shit. And that's one thing that's always bugged me. Like I can appreciate Halo, Gears not coming out with, Gears 14. To a certain extent, Fable was Fable, Albion is Albion. You had Fable 3 gone the route of Witcher 3, right, in more of an open
Hmm.
world, but in 2010 that wasn't really a thing. I think that the time and energy that was wasted in all of these extras, because I'm going to list them out here because it didn't just stop with Fable 3, guys. Hang on. Did I print out? Oh,
Well,
the
they made a
release.
tie-in. Yeah, they made a
Yeah,
mobile tie-in with three, right?
right. And then here, but
Um.
we've got Fable 3. We got Fable Heroes, was just to beat 'em up. You
Yeah.
got Fable the Journey in the same year of Fable Heroes. You got Fable Anniversary. You got Fable Legends. You got Fable. And when did. Hang on here, because Lion's
Then
Head
you had
was
a
done in
Connect version.
2016, right? When was
What's up?
when did Lion's Head close down?
I think it was 2016. That sounds about right.
2016. Okay, so then they tried to revive something in 2017 here with the Fable Fortune, the card game. But that's it. Like, you got to a point where you took the original game and you just shat on it. Like,
They were trying to get into like the other markets. So like this is when like mobile games were starting to be like a thing. And I know a lot of other games did this too, where it was like they had a companion app. So like you're playing the game, you download the app onto your phone, it links together what you do in the on the phone, affects what you do in the game, you get extra shit. Like this is when they were trying to again experiment, but I think they were going like the wrong way about it. This is a time when they were just trying to, and I could say it probably wasn't Lionhead that decided upon this. It was probably Xbox.
well, they were
That
trying to
was
remarket
like,
it because they probably had a warehouse full of shit,
yeah, and they
right?
were just trying to make. They're like, yo, this is one of our like most
This
famous
was
franchises, right? Other than Halo and like the other Xbox ones that we do and know, but they're like, we need to get as much money out of this fucking thing as possible, right? So they're like, do this, do this, do this. But hey, mobile is a thing now. Go and do this. And I think it just spread that company too thin. It it put a sour taste in people's mouth on like, oh well, like yeah, you're coming in with all this stuff, but it's shit, right? They came out with like a Connect game that I don't think was that good. Like they started coming out with all this bullshit when they really, really, really should have just focused on the game. They should have focused. Now I know they came out with DLC with this game at the time too, because DLC started becoming a big thing. But I think if they would have just taken the 4 years again to develop a game and it come out, maybe it waited till Xbox One came out, and then it came out on the Xbox One instead. Like I don't know what they could have done. Like they
yeah.
did the thing that a lot of companies do, and they found their niche. Let's pump fucking games out now, and I don't think they should have done that. I don't think, because you could see it in Fable 3. They dumbed it down a lot. They didn't expand on a lot of the features that they were doing. Like even when it comes to interacting with the NPCs, instead of having a multitude of options and animations to do, they gave you two options. And it was like, and it was always random, but it was always like a good option and a bad option. Dance with them or belch in their face. The fucking handshake, or I don't know, like shit in their mouth or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck it was. I don't remember what it was, right? Like, but it was like it was just two options and it was just button presses. You didn't get to pick emotes anymore. You didn't get to do any of that stuff. They took away the UI. They made it a hindrance of changing armor, changing this, changing that. Even the upgrade system, like they took away the um using more attacks, like melee attacks, upstairs, using more. They took away all that, and it was just one. They called it guild something, guild fucking pieces, guild fucking experience. I can't remember what it was called, but it was just one experience point that one pool you went from. But instead of again being able to go and like go into the menu to upgrade, you had to go to fucking journey. Fucking, I don't even see. This is how much it doesn't even stick in my mind. I just watched a video this morning. It's like a path. Think of like Snake's Way or fucking whatever. It was a bridge, and from there you had to open up chests, and those chests, depending on what the upgrade was, took a certain amount of guild points, and then you just opened up chests and traveled through this fucking walkway bridge, the heroes bridge or some shit they called it. Like they could have done so much better with this, because two was such a success. And again, this is a problem that we see with video games, where one's okay, it's got the foundation, two is amazing, and then they pump out the third one, and they forget what made their franchise, and they just pump out a third one, and the third one's always not as good, right? Like as the second one. Same thing with Mass Effect. Mass Effect 1 built the foundation. 2, awesome. 3, yeah. 4, shit. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's why I'm kind of worried about this next one coming out. Because like I just don't know. I just don't know. They have some good ideas, very ambitious again, but No Man's Sky was ambitious too, and it took 10 years to make the game good.
See, and
So,
this is it. Like The Witcher 4, it's the same thing. Like when we look at that era between 2010 and 2017, it was just gaming chaos. Like it was just putting shit out for the sake of putting shit out. And we talked about this in The Legend of Zelda. We talked about this with, was it Street Fighter, that had so many, or Mortal Kombat that just had too
oh yeah.
many knockoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it
Mm-hmm.
because you're just trying to go. But at a certain point, it's not the same game anymore. Like, why can't the gaming community just be okay, right? Like, hey, Fable 3 was kind of the end of it. Let's call it something else now. Let's call it like fucking literally anything else. The archives of Albion or something where you get to
Or just
play.
like a completely different game in general, but take the ideas. Maybe now we're in space.
But even
Maybe
if
we're
you did,
fucking
but I think
prehistoric,
but
like
I think
something,
that's
you
the
know?
one thing with Fable, because even in its name, Joe, I think that that is what you want. You want that whimsical Sherwood Forest
Yep.
Robin Hood kind of feel. But by the same token, they could have made a Robin Hood franchise that was way better, with right because Assassin's Creed is Robin Hood. Just putting that out there. But the thing is, and we talked about this yesterday, so I've been, and like we talked about earlier in the show, I've been playing Odyssey. It's the first time I've ever played an Assassin's Creed game. That being said, do I need to play the other Assassin's Creed games to know what Assassin's Creed is about? No. But they take popular stories from history. Like Fable to me, there was a lot of potential. You could have done a King Arthur version, you could have done a lot of different things with
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because to the British history, keep it local, right? But the thing is, we tried too many. Now we're making it a card game. Now we're making it a ruled like fighter. Get a life. It's not the same thing. But this is the problem: is everybody keeps draining the teat. And like you said, what is the reboot going to be? Now, here's the thing, and I didn't know this because I guess the way that Peter Molyneux found out was by seeing the news article because he had no idea they were even remaking it. Now, that being said, does that mean that this is going to be 1A, or is this going to be a whole new Fable generation? Because we saw success with that in God of War, right? The first gen God of War was god awful, but for the time it was what it was. Now
It
we
was
got,
good. Yeah.
and that's it. Like sometimes we need to, but is this going to turn into, is Fable going to, kind of ride that line a little closer to Tomb Raider? Like you said, where you kind of have that semi open world, right? Because you can control it, you can put more into the graphics. Because right now, and we talked about it with Assassin's Creed, every time I zoom out on the map, I got another 5,000 things to do. It's a game that
Mm-hmm.
cannot be completed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is a
I mean,
game
yeah, I
that I
can put in
will
like
not
500
complete.
fucking hours.
Well, but even then, but you've got to pull the cord because when you get to a point where you have these many expansions, and I'm playing a game 10 years past, and you've got probably about 5 extra expansion packs, like why did we make other ones? Like I was told to play Brotherhood, I was told to play Black Flag if I like the pirating, but it's a different game. It's all under the same thing. But why can't we have done that with Fable? Because Fable tried to follow the same story, just newer era, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
let's, and this is what I'm hoping because I think that that was the one thing that you saw with Legend of Zelda. We kind of got tired of the same story. Like there's a reason there's Warriors World. There's a reason why there's Luigi's Mansion is because we need those to kind of take away from the original story. But Fable
Yeah.
is one of those franchises where you can make a new story. See, Nintendo's flaw, very limited, but Mario's story. You can't change Mario's story. That's the story,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't call
Yeah.
it Super Tommy and Friends, right? It's Super Mario. But with
Yeah.
Fable, you can put Fable. If Fable and Witcher got together and had a fucking baby, nothing would make me happier. Because, but ultimately
Yeah.
it's Assassin's Creed. Because even now, I tell people to fuck off. I shoved the guy's eyeball into a goat's ass to start off the game. There's a bunch of shit you can get, but the thing that I like about it is there's shit that I'm never gonna finish. I get to choose what side I want to be on. I get to choose where and what. And when we look at games, because The Witcher, that bugged me, because The Witcher, I couldn't complete. If I took one quest from a certain pile, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do another quest, right? Like it was,
Yes.
and that's kind of the same with Fable. And I like it and I hate it. I love that mentality, but I hate it. But the thing that I hated most about Fable, and it's few and far between, but again, it was the cheesy fights. Right? Why am I gonna? If all I have to do is hold on to my X button, I'm eventually gonna win. I just need to be powered to that level, right? Because if you were level
Yeah.
25 or whatever, you'll make it through, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's generally how you found out because you got the 19. Oh, I got kicked out. Now I got to start over again. But that Coliseum arena fight from the original game was the bulk of the game. Like the story was great because it was funny. You had your demon doors. You got to kick shit. Like even with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm trying to like phase a black rooster to become my hunting buddy. Like it's dumb shit like that you do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still got a great story. But the thing is, that story is a rip on another story you already know, right? It's the 300. Because then when you go to
Yep.
the cutscene, and the other thing that drives me nuts with console is the fucking load times. Because I forgot that about PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4, you
Yes.
may as well have a side hustle while you're playing the fucking game. Because,
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you should, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot all about load screens with the
yeah,
PS5.
because we're in a
So
new
fucking, and
age.
then when I play a PS4 game, I'm like, why am I waiting a minute for, like, what the fuck?
I just
Like
died.
a
Why am I
minute
not
seems
back?
forever now. Yeah, and a minute seems forever now because, like, what's a fucking cutscene or what's a load screen? I don't know what a load screen is, but
Right.
you're right. You go back to those games, and there's load screens. They you could hear it. Yeah.
So now
So.
we're in a day and age where things like that, because in the first Fable, load screens were a son of a bitch. That was one thing I
Mhm,
do remember of the game is, again, you die and then you'd be waiting for 2.5 minutes, which was the plague of
mhm.
most cartridge and any media delivered on a physical form. And with all you people, and we're just going to talk about it because I need to make a clip out of this show. Joe, what's your thoughts on the digital disc age coming to an end and everything being on the console itself? I know you are a collector of sorts. I know you like to have the physicals. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, fuck.
Brother, it's fucking horseshit. Like it's fucking okay. So this is what people don't understand, and this is like I need to get it into fucking people's heads. Everyone's like, well, people make fun of me. Oh, why do you buy physical when like you could just like you got to take the disc out and put a new disc in and blah blah blah. This and that. Yeah, you're right. In 10 years from fucking now, when I want to go play Fable, I could just fucking play it. You might think that you own it right now because it's digital, but Sony just did it with their movies. Because they lost the licensing and because licensing was too expensive for them for particular movies and shit, what did they do? Whether you fucking bought it, rented it, whatever, they took it off their fucking stores. If you bought it, they took it away from your hard drive because that's the power that they have now with Wi-Fi and patches and all this other shit. They took it away from you and they didn't fucking refund you. With digital, what you're doing is you're paying to rent the fucking license. And in the user agreement, it says we could fucking take it away from you whenever the fuck you want. Whenever you want. Don't care if you bought it or not. I don't care if you paid $100 for
Kind of
this
like
game.
borrowing it to an
Once we don't want it
ex-girlfriend
on
because
the
you know
store
you're never
anymore,
going to see it again.
yeah, yeah. Once we don't want it on the store anymore, we could take it away, and there's fucking nothing you could do about it. Nothing you could do about it, unless the European something security safety, the ESU, is that what they're called? The ones that sued Apple and were like, "Hey, stop doing this bullshit with your Thunderbolt Lightning fucking charger."
Chargers.
And like your phone has to come out with USB. See, like every fucking other person. This is bullshit what you're doing. So unless they step in and do something about it, no one's gonna own shit anymore. Nintendo's already doing it. Nintendo, if they find out you're doing something with your fucking Switch 2, they could just brick it. They don't have to give you money back. They could just fucking brick it and it is useless. And if you want another one, you got to buy another one now. Like, this is the age that we're going into and nobody understands. Like, yeah, it's great. We're streaming, we're this, we're that. But when you go on Netflix because your favorite movie was on there and now it's not on there anymore, where do you find it? Where do you find it? I want to go watch the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 version. It's not on Paramount. Paramount owns the rights to like Nickelodeon and Turtles and stuff. It's not fucking on there. Where do I find it? I don't know. I can't find it. That movie's now just gone off history unless you own the DVD or the VHS. Fucking can't watch it anywhere. Or I think actually I looked it up. I gotta pay to rent it,
Which
and that's just
bugs me
renting
even
it.
more. Anything before 2006, why the fuck are we paying for it? Get a life, guys. Uh,
The problem is, and again, I'm going to reiterate, you're not going to own shit anymore. The PS6 that's coming out, the reason why they're doing this, now PlayStation is saying, and here's the problem, which is where the confusion lies. PlayStation is saying their first party developed games will not be on disc anymore. But they didn't mention anything about the third party people that make anything for them. Is it going to be up to them? Or are they going to
Probably.
force them to make it digital because the PS6 is only going to be digital?
Now you got to
Mark
ask
my
yourself:
words.
is the PS6 going to have a load door and tray that's constantly been a problem for the rest of the consoles? I don't know with five, but right, we
Five's
had,
fine. Five,
but
I
we've
fucking.
gone through consoles with red rings of death, the blue screen of death. We've gone through kind of everything, and this seems to be malfunctioning hardware. So, from a company's standpoint, because I like to irritate you, um, why am I going to have a bunch of sweatshops making CDs other than the fact that it's your preference? When it comes to scalability and things sold, if I can save the development money, I'm going to. But that being said, I know it's not being done out of the goodness for the earth. This is being done, again, like Joe said, is you can never own it. You are renting it.
You're
So
renting it.
if I put something, I download something into my favorites, I download it into my computer, and then PlayStation decides I can't have it anymore, PlayStation can take it. And I think that that is a big thing, Joe. I think that that is a extremely valid point because, like I said, I can bring cost into it, I can bring everything into it, but it's going to get to a point where you're just paying for the service, and we've seen
Where
it.
you don't own anything anymore. And that's the problem. When you're like, well, yeah, I know you can make the disc and it's bad for the environment and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. I get that. But I own it. It's mine. I paid for it.
See, the problem is, and this is the problem with the market right now, especially with video games, that we've talked about tiered pricing entering its head into the market, and this is what they're going to do: is they're going to be able to decide what games stay and don't. But again, why would
Mhm.
I go to go and buy Halo 1? To me now, doesn't, I expect it to be included in a service, right? If I bought a PS5, I would probably expect, and this is the problem with me, maybe I got high expectations, that I could play 1 to 3 games, because if I was like you and I was a collector of sorts,
Mhm.
right, I could play. But the thing is, the lasers change, the disc change, the reading methods change. Now you're adding an extra component. You're doing this. I got to pay some guy named Guam, 100 shekels a week. And I got to, because he's got to feed his family. So this is where the
Mhm.
problem's coming. But I think that I think without this pump and dump between 2010 and 2020, we wouldn't be facing the death of or the physical disc. I think because of this pump out, and like I said, we had warehouses of CD-ROMs that they just needed to use up. And I think that
Mhm.
that's what, because when you look at the time, let's go back to 2004. Metal Gear Solid 3 was coming out. 1 and 2 were bonkers. It was the same
Mhm.
fucking story with different characters. And that's it. And I think that this is the problem with some of these games is you unless it's a wrestling franchise, sports franchise that you would expect new players. You kind of have to change the story. I'm sorry, you can't keep having the same shit. How many times are we going to go hunt Princess Peach? How many
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
times? Right? At
I
this
think
point,
that's
Mario's fucking nephew Luca should have taken over the franchise by now and the plumbing business. You know what I mean?
why, like, out of all, let's just go RPGs,
Yeah.
right? Out of all the RPG franchises and games that came out, there's two main ones. I guess three technically. Persona, which I believe kind of changes the story. Final Fantasy has elements of the world, but the story
And
is
that's what
always
you need, because
different,
Fable could have
right?
been done
And
in
Tales
that. Well, and that's it, right? Because in my
and the Tales
opinion,
games, right? Like,
and there's
yeah.
a lot of
Sorry,
them. Like,
go
we
on.
can, no,
Yeah.
no, no, you're good, you're good. But that's it. But we've seen some, like, I've never played Half-Life, I've never played Crisis, BioShock, shit like that. But they're games that I want to. But like, again, when you look at that powerhouse of games that came up with the original Fable, I think Fable at
Mhm.
that point had to. You have to beat the sequels. The Fable 2, okay, it went well, but we saw that there was enough time between it because it was a different story. Now you
Mhm.
took Fable 3 and you basically just made, in my opinion, from what I've seen of the notes and the complaints, and I think this happens with a lot of knockoff games, is we've tried to please a small group of people on a certain type of mechanic, feature, blah blah blah, right? We don't need to remake the remake of Moana. Fuck that, I'm not even watching it. The cartoon was good.
Didn't fucking
Give
need
it
that.
20 fucking years
A
before you
shot
give
for
it.
shot. Even the Lion King, the live action line, was it not a shot for
I
shot?
can understand having to redo the
Like,
Lion King after X amount of time because you want a new generation, but this is the same Moana generation. If anything, let's remake Lilo and Stitch. You know, that's probably been done already, I don't care. But this is the thing.
they
But
did. Yeah. It was
yeah,
like 3 years ago or something it came out.
but
Yeah.
that's it. But you get to a certain point where, yeah, it's just the same thing in a different shirt. But Fable could have been completely remastered into a comic book feel, right? You could have taken the Legend of Zelda Fable esque kind of cartoony, campy, funny,
Mhm.
like it's very much a pickle Rick, right?
Yeah.
It has substance, but it's so goofy that it's only going to attract a certain amount of players. And I never got into the Elden Scrolls. I never got into Morrowind. I never got into any of those games, which I understand are very similar. But the thing is, how many times are you going to tell Robin Hood? The one thing that Fable sold
Hmm.
to us was the fact that I could be a bad Robin Hood. That despite my life in the real world, I could be a complete piece of shit, get
Hmm.
glowing horns and da 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 da. That's what sold it. But when you're just doing the same story over and over, just to buff up the graphics, doesn't really fly with me. And I watched Joe. Have you seen the new Mortal Kombat movie?
The second one,
Yeah.
I have not yet because I'm going to be honest with you, forgot it came out.
See, and this is the thing because we're trying to redo the same thing now. It is better than the first one.
Hmm.
It is what you wanted as a child
From
out
the
of the
first one.
first one,
Yeah.
but the story was very porn-esque. It
Uh,
was the shots you would expect, and it was a good movie. Watch it, Joe. But like,
I want to.
but the
I
thing is,
legit like
anybody who
forgot that
out
it
there
came
is
out.
listening, the max you could ever give this Mortal Kombat movie will be a 7 out of 5. If you're considering as far as a B style fight movie, you can give it 10 out of 10. But you've got to understand what category you're putting this into. This, and I joked with the wife about this, because this is what I wanted 20 years ago, right? It was the graphics
Hmm.
that I wanted 20 years ago with Goro. It like shit like
Hmm.
that. It was that taking the fight scene out of the game, putting it on the screen, but it didn't play out. Right? This is the problem. When we talk about sequels, and the sequels, they worked in the early 2000s, and like I said, that era of 2010 to 2020 of just pushing shit out because you're just trying to revive a brand name could have been developed, put into the time of making a better 4, and that might have saved
Hmm.
Lion's Head. If Lion's Head, instead of redoing one over those 6 years, wrote a new, but the thing is, you never know, people might not have bought the idea, you
It's
never know what was presented.
17 years, dude. I'm looking at that. Yeah, I see the quick release timeline. 17 fucking years.
Yeah.
It should not have taken that long. right? Like I understand again what they're trying to do is like let's keep the Fable name, let's keep it in people's back in people's minds. Okay, you could have done that. You could have done that by starting to develop the fourth one, right away as soon as the third one was done, or even during the third one,
If
had the ideas
you
of the
felt
fourth
that
one,
the third,
and then it
because to
would have been
me,
out in what
that
2014.
when you
Probably could
develop a
have had it
game in
all
2 years, Joe, it's an afterthought to me. Like you said, there was no thought. You had something, you changed a mechanic or two, and that's it. And you tried to rebrand, because Fable 2 and 3, Fable 2 to 4, like I said, you had a 500 year. You gave enough players the chance to beat the game over and over and over again. And that's the one thing that I loved with Legend of Zelda, because as far as I'm concerned, Legend of Zelda was paced properly. Just enough time between Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. Because I had enough time as someone who didn't play it to go find it, play it, and do it. The big thing that irritates me with Nintendo, not only is the pricing, but like you said, is it gets you. Because if I want to play it a certain way, like Mario Kart, I would love to continue to play Mario Kart, but I don't want to give Wii Online $20 a month to play one game that I haven't played in two years, right? With my buddies. And Xbox gave us that. Xbox was the console for the people, and Fable was the game for the people. And I think what happened is the man had an idea. The man listened to too many other people's idea. And instead of recreating the masterpiece at the time that was Fable in 2004, because if Fable came out today, Fable would very much be an Elden Ring style game. I would probably bet the mortgage on, if not completely Legend of Zelda.
I would also say it'd probably be a live service fucking game, to be honest with you too, with like pay to win, pay for this, pay, like I guarantee you,
So,
probably,
and I'm glad you said that, Joe, because you know what really made me turn off Fable 2? I got to a chest. Please log into fable2.com to see how you can access. Guess what though? Do it right now. www.fable2.com and tell me what happens for you. Maybe this is a me problem.
Fable the number 2?
The number 2.com.
.com.
Let me know when you get a DNS.
Yep, nope, nothing.
You want to know why? Because Lionshead is no longer in business, and no one is now maintaining how I can get a chest. This game became obsolete right then and there.
To open, hold on, I want to actually see how to open chest in Fable.
Hopefully someone on Reddit has a forum, but I wasn't going to spend that kind of time. But
website. I don't think you can.
Yeah, no, you're fucked.
How to open the chest in the beginning of the game. Is this the one under the lake?
There's one inside like a cathedral.
Yeah.
Anyways, the amount of research that it's going to take isn't worth playing the game. So now we have, and like you said, you're scared because you don't know what it's going to be. So Joe, as the gamer, as the one who spent the hours, the money buying this, the hours justifying to your wife why you need a gaming room. Luckily, she is very understanding of you, because I can't even get help with a starter on my car, but you get a gaming room. Yeah,
I was gonna say a whole gaming basement. I'm not gonna flex.
He is though. He is. I wasn't gonna flex for you, but I'm glad to see you took that step, pal. But anyways, Fable is one of those games. Now, my version of Fable in my head, I would love to see, much like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as we're gonna wrap this into Ronin. I like seeing that dark shift. I like seeing, now we have the opportunity into technology to make this a real, like the non-campy, the real dramatic, hard-ass version of Fable. But I don't know much about Playground. And for those of you who are watching, you're going to learn as much about Playground as I did. They did Forza 5 and 6. That's all I know about Playground. They are beautiful games. They have been nominated for numerous, but they hold that UK ground that I enjoy, because if you cannot Americanize Fable. That was a worry. was they were going to
Yes.
Americanize Fable or Western world Fable. No one gives a fuck. The people out here, we want the Robin Hood. Well, I want the Robin Hood version of Fable. I think Robin Hood
Yeah.
should have been a game that could have been remade. But the thing is, like I said, it's Assassin's Creed. All you'd be doing. But now, since we're talking about Assassin's Creed, now that I've played Odyssey, do I need to play the rest of the Assassin's Creed? Probably not.
No, again, with Assassin's Creed now, it just like, what era do you like? Do you want to be a Viking? Do you like Vikings? Play Valhalla. Do you want to be a fucking ninja or whatever? Go or samurai? You play
Thank
the
you for
like.
walking me into this, Joe, because what I want to see other than Robin Hood is I want to see the King Arthur fable. I want to see that motherfucking British kid from the slums make his way up Slumdog Millionaire style into the
Mhm.
castle. But
Yeah.
you've got to be able to market it to kids. You've got to keep it in that middle ground. But like I said, I think that it's gotten to a point where I don't think you could ever redo what the first one gave to us when we first played it, when it first came out. I don't think you'll ever be able to do that. Playground makes some absolutely beautiful games. Stunning.
Mhm.
I would even
Yeah.
fight.
I mean, I think Forza 5 was in the running for like Game of the Year or one
They
Game of
got
the Year
7
for some
nominations
people.
and they've only been around for a
Yeah.
few. But I'm assuming that
Yeah.
Playground took a bunch of the better people from Lion's Head and some of the locals and turned into a super fantasy team of making games. So I don't deny what is likely going to be, what is it, Winds Meet West style open world kind of
Oh,
Fable
yeah.
game. It is going to be
No,
visually beautiful, but I just hope it has the substance and story to follow it.
I I think it. Oh man, I think it should. I don't think like it'll probably go into dark places, but I think what made Fable was the
Humor.
whimsy, like you were
Mm.
saying, right? Like the, I don't want to say Disney-esque
It doesn't need,
like
but
thing, but like it was like, like there was dark things, but then you had
I want
I
my
think it was
Monty
Charles.
Python's Fable Robin Hood collaboration, King Edward. I want Clive Owen, Gerard Butler in this shit. We need to call the man who is no longer the Witcher. We need to get the Henry Cavill to play my boy in Fable. That's what
Like I think what would be a cool idea, and I don't know if they can make it work, but I think what would be a cool idea if you want to get to the masses with this new game. I think how it should work is if you want to play like the hero and stuff like that, the game is more lighter toned, more, like, you know what I'm saying? Like brighter, all this other stuff. And but if you want to play the evil tone, the game starts getting darker and the stories are a little darker. Maybe the towns are starting to dilapidate. You know what I mean? Like things like that. I think if they want to go to the masses, because then that is like replayability too as well. I played through the game. Now I think this is going to be a game that like you're going to have to spend 500 hours to actually do everything. But I think if you want it to if you want it to be for the masses, and also if you want it to be a streaming contender game, you have to kind of make it like that, because like you don't want a game that's just going to look the same. Like somebody's playing, you know what I mean? Like you're watching it on stream and like somebody plays through it again, and it kind of looks the same. I think like if you want this game to work, and I don't think it's possible, but it would be a cool idea. Again, you're like, hey, I want like a dark tone. I want this, I want that. And me sitting here being like, I like the whimsy stuff. I kind of want to like have the colors and the everything. So like it would be a wicked, wicked idea if they could do it that way. You're playing the hero. Yeah, there's some dark storylines, but everything's always like colorful, Disney-esque, as I say again. But if you want to play the evil tone, okay, this is what you're gonna get, dude. This is fucking depressing. Things aren't so colorful anymore. That you want to be evil. This is what being evil's like, right? That would, I think, if they did it like that, that like the game will, and it works, the game will win Game of the Year, no problem.
now I want to bring something to your attention, Joe, because earlier I
Mhm.
said I wanted to tie this in somehow. So the one thing that I notice about these games and what really vibes with people is that simulation feel that they're running the life, they're in control of this.
Hmm.
Now picture this. How many more people would play Fable if Fable had more perspective? Let's say Ms. Mac wanted to play Fable, but she didn't want to be the hero. She wanted to be the stay-at-home mom who the who the
Hmm.
hero marries. So you're doing the hero journey while she's doing the stay-at-home mom journey. Like you get to a point where you've created a simulation of life. And this is going to be a spin-off episode because I haven't talked paranormal shit in a while and I kind of really want to. But when I look outside and we talk about this life being a simulation and what we've seen video games produce over the last, let's just call it 3 decades of us being a
Hmm.
part of it. Um, More and more when I see these games, and I think that Fable is going to be one of those that's going to wind up pushing me a little further. So when playing Odyssey, they have taken such great detail that if I'm just riding through the mountains, they've got, basic geography
Hmm.
mirrored, whether it be on land, underwater, regardless if people watch this or not. So what's to say that my outside world is only being rendered by what I could see in my visibility? Right? Much like these games, like if I dive into the water, can I get lost for hours fishing? Right? We have our fishing side
Hmm.
quest with
Yeah.
Stardew Valley and games like that. You could go after the sprites. You could go find, you could figure out who wants what gifts when. And that was one thing that Fable did well too, because it took that aspect from a game like Stardew Valley. You can build a relationship and a connection with someone. But these are just more game simulators of life. So I want to leave you with this, Joe.
Hmm.
Do you feel that right now we're in a simulation talking about simulations? And what would make the best simulation?
What would make the best simulation?
What would make the best? But you're not going to answer today because we're already an hour and
No.
40 in. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Now you're going to have to tune in next time because we are going to talk simulation games because the reality of games like Spider-Man was beautiful. Spider-Man was an aesthetically beautiful game, much like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There's always something to do, and like I said, it's a never. You live another life. And if you've
Hmm.
watched Ready Player One, what's to say there isn't an angry corgi somewhere with a fucking VR set on right now controlling me through this podcast? There is nothing to prove that otherwise. But that being said, every game has certain elements, no matter how basic or how complex. And I think that over the years, I have found things that I like. I like the general fight style of PlayStation games. Because one thing I get with Assassin's Creed that I didn't get with Fable was that more serious. I can go and I can control the way that I kill someone. Whereas I don't want to say it's all Xbox game, but Xbox is very simple mechanics. Xbox is the kind of console that you're okay with not doing a bunch of fucking hold L1 and do this and get your loadout ready. In my opinion, it's developed into that now. I haven't played
Hmm.
anything on Xbox One. I've been playing PC now. But with the way that the world is shifting, like we're moving away from the console, I think we can say that we are in the last generation that's probably going to see a console release because everything is going to go back to the media center, like we said, what Xbox 360 did. Um, PlayStation 4. I guess it really started with 3, getting Netflix, getting everything onto those on the apps.
Hmm.
A media
Yeah.
center that can control apps. And that's what it's going to be because now I think we're going to get to a place, and the one thing that I'm actually surprised and I haven't seen yet is I'm just amazed that, PlayStation Sony comes out with a phone but it doesn't have the PlayStation library on it. Right? It's stuff like that, like a new Game Boy. Would you play it? No, because you got your phone now. Your phone is the Game Boy. But with the realism that we are able to generate now through AI, and it becoming harder and harder to differentiate reality versus what we're being shown,
Hmm.
will video games, will a simulation video game become such a good simulation that you don't know you're in it? because you could get lost in video games before, but not like now. You can't put on
Yeah,
meta glasses and say that, I saw this versus that. But that being said, are we seeing a simulation? Am I surrounded by fire and burnt down buildings that other people can see, but I can't because I've got this vision, this AI blanket in front of me? And when we look
now we're
at
talking about Ready Player One shit. Is
this
what
is where
we're
I'm
getting
going.
into now.
But we are, because we've seen the evolution in games, Joe. We've seen the evolution from console, from cartridge to disc to
Mhm.
PC. Now we've got the stream machine, these little fucking mini PCs that have more juice than my fucking laptop at a quarter of the price. Um, but the problem is Ready Player One, and it was shit that I could see it happening. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can make a case, but it's the truth. Are we going to get to a point where it's just one big game? Because all the
Mhm.
games,
We will.
right?
I
Is
think we
life the
will.
game?
And I think we will because like I think GTA Online is starting to prove it, right? Like how many servers and how many streamers do you watch that play GTA Online role playing?
Yeah,
And they're just walking around as a cop, or they're just a store owner, or they're just a whatever, right? Now, really, all you need to do wait till GTA 6 comes out. Let's see what they do with their online and how in depth it is. And then now, all you really need to do is slap on that VR. Now you're in that world, right?
that's it.
Now you could be anything you want to be. You're having more fun doing that, and you're probably making legit money. It's going to get to that point. It will get to that point.
Well, and I
I
have a
mean,
feeling with all of
Meta
these.
tried it, right? Meta tried it with the metaverse, didn't work. Second Life tried it. Was that the PlayStation? No, that was PlayStation Home. Whatever Second Life was, way back 20 years ago, tried that too, right? Everyone's been trying it. Virtual space. It's eventually going to get there. It will. It will. But it's only going to get there. It's only going to get there when VR becomes more affordable and sustainable.
And we
I
talked,
have a VR right now.
I know. And you've had a VR when we
I
were kids. Do you remember the VR
it,
setups when we were kids?
kind of, yes.
Now we're talking
And I
timing
was
again, because we talked about Fable being ahead of its time, right?
Mhm.
Now, I want you to feel more confident in Fable. With the technology that we have, the open world technology that we have, the simulation technology that we have, versus when Fable was originally released, would you prefer to see a completely new Fable game, or would you prefer to see the first one remastered in the technologies in which we have today?
It's a good question. And this might be a cop out answer,
Probably. I can tell by your excuse
but
already.
I think that the reboot is that.
Okay.
Like,
Because
I
that's
think
what
the
I'm getting the
reboot,
feeling of. Yeah.
yeah, I think the reboot is basically taking the vision that Molyneux had and putting it into fruition. I think that's what it is, right? You play one, you understand what they were trying to do, but obviously limitations, big limitations to what it could actually do. I think the reboot is going to be is one again. It's what Molyneux envisioned, although I don't think he has anything to do with this one,
And that's
if
going
I'm
to be my
correct.
follow up. But
Right?
why not include the guy? Because he found out like everybody else. He didn't even know that they were
Because
rebooting it. Because he probably just lost
because
his rights on it.
because it goes back to what I said. I think I don't know an hour ago. Overpromise, underdeliver. The dude is a visionary, but I think when he hypes the game up too much, and it's a problem a lot of people had back in the day, and it's still kind of a problem people have now. But he hyped the game up too much.
Because you
Again,
got
No
to
Man's
sell.
Sky did it too, right? No Man's Sky did it too. Spore, I think, was like another game that tried to do this whole thing. You create creatures and then you let them live their lives and they create other creatures. And then, like, it's this whole ecosystem that starts to grow and everything. And it fucking didn't work out the way that they wanted to. No Man's Sky didn't work out the way that it wanted to. Now it does. I think he's a visionary, yes, but he's like Tom Holland. He just talks too much. He just
He's a
he gives
salesman.
away too much of the game. You know what I mean? Like, or it gives away too much of the idea of what they want to do of the game, right? So I think it's probably might be a good thing that he's not involved, just because he would overhype the game would come out and you're like, this is not what the fuck you said it was going to be, right? So that's why I think that he is not involved at all. They have the ground, they have the foot, or what do you call it, the groundwork, right? Xbox has the license or whatever, the rights to the game. They have access to what was done before, the coding and all that other stuff. So I think they just take that and they're just doing their own thing. They got a good studio working on it, Playground Games. I wish them all the luck. I hope this game, because what's happening a lot nowadays is a game comes out, it destroys the fucking developers. We've seen it so many, like Xbox just laid off like 1,600, 1,300 fucking
Ubisoft is
people,
done
whatever
in
the fuck,
Winnipeg.
right? Ubisoft has done it, whatever, Double Fine and some
Because you
other
don't need to
company.
keep remaking
Right?
shit. It's like, how many Assassin's Creed do we need? Like I said, if you've got the game, because like it's this is like Red Dead Redemption 2, and this is why I still want to play that. Is it's because it's so fucking expansive that they didn't need to make a ton of sequels. They can go fucking Dutton Ranch on the bitch if they really wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
but that's it. But they don't, because, and I think that this is the problem. We've gotten into a point where we've started catering to certain comments, to certain people's wants, versus the guy that actually did it. Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons would be 1,000 times better today. Let's just get it real. We have the technology, but in 20 years from there, we're gonna look back at fucking shit we watched today. It's like, why was I watching, cell animation? Like, that's retarded. But it's stuff like that. But we're gonna put a pin on it here, because
Mm-hmm.
next week I want to talk simulation games. I want to
Yep.
talk, and then that's gonna lead us into our Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, because it's the simulation that I think sells these games. It's not so much the story is ripped off from history. You've basically just added a soap opera to it. But Assassin's Creed has just become something that I play in the living room with, Lady Dragon watching, and that's just kind of it. Like, it's become TV for us. It's just, what's Alexios going to do today? Right? I get to control the narrative, but it's the same game. But the thing is, it's the mechanics are so natural to me on a PS2 or on a PS4 that I can pick up any game and do it again. I know what's going to be my weapon, and this is the thing: when I switch back and forth from Xbox to PlayStation, I struggle, and I never get into the Xbox games. So once I'm done this, I am going to try to make a point. By the time I'm done Assassin's Creed, it's probably going to be February anyways, and Fable's going to come out. But like I said, we're not holding our breath. But Joe, if there is one, and I've never played No Man's Sky, so that might be another. But the simulation games, even The Sims, have taken over the industry. And it is generally one thing that I find is these sim games tend to have more females playing than males, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's kind of why I made that comment. Like, if you could find some way to get The Sims and Legend of Zelda ish, Final Fantasy ish into the Fable, and you have the game within the game, because the game within the game is the real game. But I don't know if I'm the game within the game within the game, and this is the game within that game in our game and in your game, because I don't even know if it's my game. This is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I smoke dope. But you're wiggling like I'm wiggling because we both got to pee. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode 15. Don't care about what I said earlier. I'm working on new merch. I'm working on this site. I got a bunch of shit going on right now, but we're trying to get it done. Me and Joey will be back next week. We're going to talk some simulation, and we're going to bring it back in to our console wars, kind of, because we're coming to the end. And it's crazy to say that we are coming to the end of the console wars, if not already there. Everybody's thrown in the white flag, but we're in a new age of artificial intelligence and simulation theory. And I want to talk a little paranormal. So we're going to talk Sims. We're going to talk about how sim games have evolved. And we're going to go from there. Again, anybody that wants to support us, please go check out angrycorkcustoms.ca, .com, .uk. I'm pretty sure all those payments went through, so we should be good. And that is the best way to support us. Follow us on YouTube. Spotify helps. Yeah. Joe, anything to add?
Yeah. follow me on Joey_Shadows
Oh yeah.
on Twitch.
He still does the Twitch thing. Go check him out.
I
It's
still
pretty
do the
good.
Twitch thing.
I'll
It's
admit
fun.
his
It's a
stream's
good time.
pretty fun. We get some
I have
people
my
in
good
there.
streams. I have
Yeah.
my good streams. I get
And he
some
still
people
rage
in.
quits
So
sometimes. So yeah, but
I do. I did. Resident Evil made me rage quit, but we're back. We're back at it.
even better.
And I think that's it. You can follow me on my socials if you want, but I only repost whatever you fucking post. So
Yeah, this is probably going to be where everything ends up happening, anyways. But I want to thank everybody for coming in, tuning in. Again, I am Angry Corgi. I am joined by Joey Shadows. We are here with the 15th official 15th episode of Short Legs, Big Rage. We have just deleted the rest of them. Me and Joe got to pee and poop. We love you. Goodbye.